we've seen a population rise.
Mm-hmm.
Either we would have just discarded this city in 10 years like many other ghost towns, but it's not. It hasn't gone the way it should have. It's gotten dramatically better.
Okay.
And the only reason people aren't happy
Mm-hmm.
is you got xenophobes, agoraphobes, and a lot of, I mean, there's open racism.
Okay. Crazy. So I'm here with
Michael Madigan.
Michael Madigan. What brings you out here today? What do you want to share with us?
So I live here on this street now, and I want you to know that the Haitian community has been a positive force in this town. Once when all of these buildings were shuttered, abandoned,
Mm-hmm.
and in a matter of a couple of years, I was the only person living on the street for years.
Wow.
And my neighbor Carlton, it was only the two of us.
Okay.
And now everything is opened again, and you know, this nation was built on immigrants,
Yes, it was.
and it's being rebuilt by immigrants.
Mm.
And you know, we need to help these people as much as we can,
Yes.
while helping our own citizens.
Yes.
Long-term
yes.
residents need help,
Yes.
as well as our new arrivals. But the biggest problem here has been the breakdown with corporate America. Corporate America abandoned this place 30 years ago.
Yeah.
The town has fallen into disrepair, and they're putting in new streetlights, they're fixing the roads, they're doing everything. And they were doing this in a town that was contracting. For the first time in 50 years, we've seen a population rise.
Mm-hmm.
Either we would have just discarded this city in 10 years like many other ghost towns, but it's not. It hasn't gone the way it should have. It's gotten dramatically better.
Okay.
And the only reason people aren't happy is you got xenophobes, agoraphobes, and a lot of, I mean, there's open racism.
Okay.
And it's not warranted.
No, the racism, not at all. Not at all.
Right. And these people have done, they're doing jobs that we're not doing. So if the average age in this town is a senior citizen, they're not going to go work at a factory for 12 hours.
Oh, yeah.
They
No.
can't do it.
Yep.
And this is the new workforce, and we need to embrace it. The more we go, and there's a flip side to this.
Mm-hmm.
With all of them here, there's no one left in their country to rebuild what was torn down.
Yes. Yep.
So it's a drain on them, and it's a drain on us.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, they're a positive force in this community there. And it's not just Haitians. They're Nigerians, Liberians, Chinese, Indonesians. They're from all over the
All
world.
over.
Right. There's 44 different nationalities in this
Little town.
little town, and it has revitalized it, brought it back.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, nice talking to you.
It's very nice talk, but can I still ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
So, I've heard, and it was the same in Springfield, the Haitians and all the migrants that they brought in are very hard workers.
Right.
It's sort of the same thing. It's helped. But are there, and not to play devil's advocate, but are there any issues as far as like driving, things like that? Because I know Springfield, it was really bad. Like I literally watched cars wrecking, going up one way is the wrong way, and, things
So-
like that.
so
that
what-
was my biggest complaint I heard in Springfield.
One day I was in the parking lot, and there was a vehicle up on, it was how this happened. But the police showed up, and I was there with my kids. My kids were riding motorcycles,
Uh-huh.
and we all came up on the scene. And I said to the cop, I'm no detective, but that looks like a driving lesson gone wrong. And he's like, yes. And no one wanted to take. They all stepped out of the car like no one did.
No one, yeah.
And me, the cops were all talking like, look, she's trying to learn how to drive. She panicked, she crashed, and now they all got out of the car.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, she wrecked on she hit a pole or something. She had a light. That's who.
It was up there.
Up the light pole. Like, how'd you do that? He probably hit the accelerator, not the brake.
Yes. Yep.
And that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a story about someone ripping a utility pole out of the building.
Oh, wow.
But,
Now, what about like licensed and stuff like that? Are these people driving without licenses, or because and again, not to play devil's advocate, but I've talked to a ton of people in Springfield. This is my first trip here, so I'm just
Yeah.
trying to feel the water and get a sense to actually what's going on here. So I appreciate everything you're telling me, because a lot of what you've told me is what I was told there as well. You know, they've done a lot to help, but again, there are still, you know, there's a sense that why people are upset. It's not a sense of racism, more so it's a sense of it's not fair. As an American driver, if I go out and wreck my car without a license, I'm going to get in trouble. Whereas they're witnessing these Haitian drivers just get to go scot free.
So here in Pennsylvania, we don't rest on misdemeanors.
Okay.
It's just done. So if you commit a crime in Pennsylvania and you're not deemed as a threat, you're handed a citation. And you
But
walk.
they do at least cite.
Listen, if you in New York City, to haul everyone off to jail and then release. That's not how we do it in Pennsylvania. You know, Pennsylvania.
But they're at least citing these people, is what I'm asking.
The police are citing them, whether they show up for court. But here's the bigger problem: is that there's probably not enough insurance coverage. Opting for the minimum isn't going to cover it. Like recently, here's the thing: I've been driving in this country for 40 years. A couple weeks ago, I took out one of those poles. It cost my insurance company $3,200. And a few weeks before that, I hit something else.
Oh no, you've been on a bad streak.
Yeah, I'm like I didn't have an accident for 20 years.
And all of a sudden,
and then I took out a fire escape, and I took out a pole, light pole, and I'm like, listen, it happens.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
But I drive professionally for a living, 50,000 miles a year.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that they're any worse here than they are on the road.
Okay.
The biggest problem in America with road safety is distracted drivers, not Haitian drivers.
I'll agree with that.
It's distracted drivers.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's an anomaly here. I think people are trying to focus on, look, we're the only country in the world that drives on this side of the road kind of thing. You know, the rest of the world does it differently. We drove on this side of the road intentionally to confuse our enemies.
Okay. I've never heard that before.
And the same with our shipping lanes. Our shipping lanes
are
the opposite of the rest of the world, which was intended to cause harm to the British Navy.
I learned something today.
Right. So
I didn't know
the whole
that.
doing it the opposite way has its negative consequences when foreigners come here.
Oh yeah.
It's the same thing.
Oh yeah.
When Americans go to Europe, they're fucking on the wrong side of the road. They're on the wrong side of the road.
Yes. Well, and if I had to guess, Haiti, there's probably just a lot that just don't drive because it's a smaller island, and you know, from what I've heard, they have what's called tut-tuts that basically drive them around.
Right. In every country, tuk, whatever.
Yeah.
They all have their own thing. But then, you know, around the American roads are some of the safest. For us to complain about this, try stepping on the road in the Philippines. You know, it's like a game of Frogger to cross the road.
I can imagine.
Right. So it's relatively minor. I mean, they're focusing on, look, bad driving.
Yes.
Look, there's no big parties here.
Okay, so what about, and then the other big thing that everybody talked about in Springfield was housing. Basically, their rent has skyrocketed, property values, and that's everywhere, I agree. But one of their arguments there is that the single family can no longer compete because culturally they don't mind having 4, 5, 6, 7 families in a residence.
So it's not comparable. It's not a comparable argument, and here's why.
Okay.
Because once when they owned the home, look, I bought my house, $25,000. Today it's worth $170,000.
Oh yeah,
because of the immigrants, and I own a few of them. So there was nobody in this valley fixing anything.
Yes.
It lay dormant for decades.
Yes.
They came in, fixed all these properties. Yeah, they go in there, they work. The rest of them didn't. You know. But how? Yeah, it's been a good thing.
Yes.
And if the people wanted a cheap house, they had all those years to buy one.
That's true.
They could have went and bought it, fixed it. When I bought mine, I was the only person on the streets. Now look, I got my own house. My own house is right there. That's my house. And I don't know who those people are.
You got all sorts of neighbors.
But they're there every day. They're there every day.
So, just to speak to your personal slight issues you've had, you said you had some issues with kind of people being on your property?
Yeah, so, I mean, you see her in the background right there. I mean, I think they're out just sitting on my stoop, they're just hanging out. And this is every day. I drive by and I shake my head, because ultimately, it's my property. If I don't want you on it, get the fuck.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yep.
But they're not harming anything. It's just
No, they're just there.
they're just there every day, all of them. But my children are happy about this. My children are like, Dad, he goes, they come here and they're doing great. They're great. They have their own. He goes, they have their own stores. They have cars. So when a 10-year-old notices that the community has improved, and he also notices they all speak different languages.
Mm.
So he notices the different languages and the different nationalities
Oh yeah.
without being told.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's another thing. I've seen this happen before in New Jersey 20 years ago,
Okay.
where there was massive outflow of white people in Union City, Hoboken.
Mm-hmm.
You can't afford to live there now, man.
Oh yeah. There's no
Most-
work.
No, there's plenty of work. It's just a house 30 years ago was 25,000. Now it's $500,000.
Because it's appreciated. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. But so even there, the immigrants didn't hurt the situation. They improved it for everybody.
Makes sense.
This whole concept has been based on bring us your poor, bring us your huddled masses. America was built on immigration.
Yes.
So what's the sudden problem? It's always been screwed up. You should have an even system. Look, we'll take 20,000 from this guy. I said there's 199 nations.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take 20,000 from each of you
Yes.
every year. That's it. No more, or whatever the number is.
Yes.
But it should just be an equal distribution.
Yes.
Lottery, you know.
I agree.
And,
I agree.
And to think that you could ban one nation is absolutely ridiculous because I've been all over the world. I've never met bad people.
By the time you get up there, ain't gonna have none.
In my experience, everywhere you travel, there's good and bad people everywhere.
Right.
You
And
know?
there's very few bad people and mostly good.
Yes.
Mostly.
Mostly. But the bad definitely gets
Like you see these
pushed
people,
in the media and, all of that sort of stuff. That's for sure.
Like you see these people walking by grumbling. There's not going to be anything but for us. So he has this mentality of scarcity. Okay. He could have
Yeah.
gone here at 2 o'clock and grabbed himself 100 pounds of vegetables.
Yep.
The immigrants, they're here to get those vegetables are not for the immigrants. Those vegetables are
For
for
anybody.
Anybody who
Okay.
wants. High market. It has been nice enough to buy a little farmer's market, buy it out, and come get your vegetables.
Huh.
They're over there, right behind us. That must be 30 bags of groceries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's been all day I've been watching
Right.
people going back and forth with bags.
Right, and here this guy, he comes for the truck, and look, they're all gonna come and get him. And look, they're from all different nations.
Yes.
That guy looks from Asia, Southern Asia. That guy, who knows where? They're
Yeah.
from everywhere. But this town was dying, man.
I mean, it's the staple old steel town on the river that ain't what it once was. That's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's doing good. The people in this region should be happy that people want to come here. And at the end of the day, the people who were born here saw this problem as too overwhelming, too big to fix. But when 1,000 immigrants came in here, it's just like, we can fix this. It's the attitude. We can do this. This is a hell of a lot better than where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's no doubt there.
So, I mean, what else? Well, there was no other solution. Hey, I gotta run, man.
Hey, I appreciate you speaking with me,
No
my
worries.
man. Let me get my conversation with Michael allowed for a new perspective, one that I hadn't really heard yet. So Michael is a property owner here on Main Street. It's unclear as to whether or not he rents to some of these Haitian migrants, but he claims that it's been nothing but a good thing. It's been nothing but improvements on the town. There's people working. They're helping to build back up Charleroi, because he's not wrong in saying that corporate America just, with the steel company and stuff like that, Charleroi is an old steel town. And when the companies started leaving, that town has been in bad shape for a number of years now. There's no questioning that. Michael has seen the revitalization, the change, the new life that is being breathed into Charleroi. he also seems to think that the problems that almost everybody else I've spoken with is crying out about is just kind of being blown out of proportion. That he very much so minimized a lot of the complaints that I heard from others to instead say that no, the biggest problem is racism. It's xenophobia. And while I don't want to negate his statement, I've been completely unable to corroborate any of that. Everybody I've spoken with, no matter how upset they were about the situation at hand, whether it's the driving, the lawlessness, the cops enforcing laws on American citizens yet turning a blind eye and actually being told to turn a blind eye when it comes to these migrants, or the strain on the social services, the housing issues. There have been so many issues that people have legitimately cried out about, but not one of those people I spoke with had anything racist to say. They weren't xenophobes. So this cry over racism and xenophobia, while yes, I do believe that there is an aspect of it. I mean, there were neo-Nazis walking down Main Street in Springfield, Ohio. So there's definitely a racial aspect here. But from the people I've talked to who are directly connected to the situations in both Springfield and Charleroi, who are, I believe, rightly upset over the hand they've been dealt, not one of them, not one, has had anything racist to say about these migrants, anything hateful. In fact, most of them talk them up. They admit, yes, they are hard workers. They don't blame the Haitians. They understand what kind of situation Haiti is in and why they would have wanted to come here. But that does not negate the problems that they legitimately have to speak out about, because there are major issues. And while Michael seems to downplay a lot of these issues and upplay the racism aspect of it, I cannot corroborate that. Now, Michael's view is still important because it's his view. And that's why we show various voices on this channel, because I want to understand where everyone is coming from. It's through conversation that we learn more about each other, that we find out what we share in common, how we can come together, how we can be more united, how we can figure out these problems, and what is the root cause of these problems. It's by coming together. It's by speaking with people that are directly connected with the situation and addressing, okay, what are the issues? How do we go forward? So, Michael's perspective is important, just like everyone else's was important. Even though I'm unable to corroborate what he claims. The whole, it's just racism, it's just xenophobia, that's the only problem. I've heard from so many people, and that does not seem to be the apparent problem at hand. So if you enjoy these stories, these vital narratives, I just ask that you go ahead and like our video, that you subscribe to our channel, because we're doing something here that you're not going to see on the mainstream media. What we're doing here is showing you the unfiltered, unedited voices of those involved in Springfield and Charleroi. This channel is all about giving voice to the voiceless. So we appreciate your support. And until next time, embrace the stories that matter.